The night sky over Washington, D.C. was unusually still, its stars dimmed by the city's perpetual glow. Jack Hammer Hayes stood on the rooftop of a mid-rise building, his sharp eyes scanning the streets below. The former Marine's instincts prickled. Something was wrong, though he couldn't yet define what. He didn't like unanswered questions, especially not when he was paid to protect someone as high-profile as Dr. Nathan Carter. Jack turned to the man beside him, a wiry figure in his late 30s, wearing a suit that seemed perpetually rumpled. "Any strange chatter, Bishop?" Marcus Bishop, a veteran FBI tactical agent and Jack's unlikely ally for the night, shook his head but didn't lower the compact rifle slung across his chest. "Nothing on the usual channels. But I've got this gut feeling, same as you." A cold breeze carried the hum of distant traffic. Jack pulled his jacket tighter, though the chill wasn't what unsettled him. In his years of military service, he'd learned to trust his instincts. Keep your eyes peeled. Carter's work has painted a target on his back. Inside the building, Dr. Nathan Carter adjusted the settings on a holographic console, his fingers gliding over virtual keys with practiced ease. The room was filled with a faint blue glow from the array of alien tech scattered across tables and shelves. The physicist had made headlines for reverse engineering fragments of extraterrestrial machinery recovered from old crash sites, a breakthrough hailed as humanity's leap into interstellar capability. But tonight, there were no reporters, no camera crews. Just silence, punctuated by the occasional beep from his console. Nathan glanced at the clock inside, his mind still racing with the equations he'd been running for days. He didn't hear the faint hum of energy outside the reinforced windows. Jack's voice crackled through the comm in his ear. "Carter, get away from the windows. Now." Nathan hesitated, then froze as a shimmer in the air outside caught his eye. It was subtle, like heat waves rising from asphalt, but the distortion moved with purpose. Before he could react, the glass exploded inward. Shards sliced through the air, and a figure cloaked in refracted light landed soundlessly on the floor. Jack and Bishop were already moving. The former burst through the door, shotgun in hand, while the latter positioned himself at a stairwell for a clear line of fire. Jack's first shot roared through the room, catching the shimmering figure mid-lunge. The alien assassin flickered, revealing an angular, reptilian form beneath its cloaking device before collapsing in a heap. "Carter, move!" Jack barked, dragging the physicist to cover behind an overturned desk. Bishop's voice came through the comm, more incoming south stairwell. A second assassin materialized near the hallway, its multi-limbed silhouette outlined by the glow of a handheld energy weapon. Bishop didn't hesitate. His rifle spat a burst of precise rounds, each finding its mark in the alien's chitinous armor. It screeched, a sound that cut through bone, and crumpled. "Energy readings are spiking all over the building," Nathan stammered, his voice tight with panic. "They've disabled the elevators and locked down our comms." Jack cursed under his breath. The first attack was no random strike. This was a calculated operation. "They're not just here for you, document. They want your research." Nathan's eyes widened as realization set in. "They can't get it. If they do." "They won't," Jack interrupted, his tone hard as steel. "Not while I'm breathing." The trio moved quickly, navigating through dimly lit hallways. Jack led, his shotgun at the ready, while Bishop covered their rear. Nathan, clutching a small data drive, stayed close, his breath shallow but steady. As they approached the lower levels, the air grew colder, thick with tension. Jack held up a hand, signaling for silence. The team halted, their ears straining for any sound beyond their own breathing. Then it came, a faint clicking, like talons tapping against metal. Jack motioned for Bishop to flank left while he edged forward. The clicking grew louder, echoing through the corridor. Suddenly, another assassin leaped from the shadows, its lithe form propelled by legs like coiled springs. It moved faster than anything Jack had encountered before, its clawed hands reaching for him. Jack fired, but the creature dodged, its reflexes unnervingly sharp. Before it could strike, a single shot rang out. The alien jerked sideways, green blood spraying from its torso as Bishop emerged from cover, rifle steady. "Nice timing," Jack muttered, stepping over the body. Don't mention it. Nathan's voice cut in, trembling but determined. We need to reach the lab's emergency power grid. I can override their lockdown if I reroute the system. Then let's move, Jack said, his tone brooking no argument. They pressed on, the distant hum of alien technology chasing them like a specter. Each corner they turned felt like a gamble, but their luck held until they reached the lab's sublevel. The air here was thicker, charged with the faint scent of ozone. Jack pushed open the door to the power grid, only to find it already occupied. 3 assassins stood in a loose formation, their cloaking devices inactive, revealing forms that seemed almost sculpted for violence. For a moment, the room was silent, the humans and aliens locked in mutual appraisal. Then chaos erupted. Jack dove for cover as energy bolts seared past, their heat scorching the walls. Bishop returned fire, his shots precise but unable to breach the alien's armor. Nathan scrambled to the console, his fingers moving in a blur as he worked to bypass the alien interference. Jack's mind raced. Conventional tactics wouldn't work against opponents this prepared. He grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and hurled it into the fray. The explosion of foam and gas created a momentary smokescreen, disorienting the assassins. Bishop suppressing fire. Jack shouted, charging forward. Bishop's rifle barked in rapid succession, forcing the aliens to take cover. Jack used the opening to close the distance, his shotgun roaring twice in quick succession. One alien fell, its chest caved in by the force of the blast. Nathan's voice rang out. Got it. The lights flickered, then surged as the emergency power grid activated. A high-pitched whine filled the room, and the remaining assassins convulsed, their weapons sparking uncontrollably. What did you do? Bishop asked, his rifle trained on the aliens. Nathan exhaled, a small smile breaking through his tension. Localized EMP crude, but effective. The final assassin lunged in a last-ditch effort, but Jack was ready. He sidestepped and slammed the butt of his shotgun into its head, sending it sprawling. Silence returned, heavy and absolute. Jack turned to Nathan. You good? The physicist nodded, though his hand still trembled. Bishop stepped closer, scanning the room for any lingering threats. That was too close. These things aren't here to scare us. They're here to wipe us out. Jack's jaw tightened. Then we show them what a bad idea that was. Above them, the night sky remained still, but the storm had only begun. The wind howled through the skeletal remains of an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Baltimore, carrying the metallic tang of rust and decay. Jack Hayes adjusted the grip on his weapon, his eyes scanning the shadows. The air was charged with the sense of impending violence, the kind that tightened the chest and quickened the pulse. He wasn't alone. Beside him crouched Marcus Bishop, his rifle aimed steadily at the far end of the room, where faint footsteps echoed. Bishop's expression was carved from stone, his focus absolute. A thin wire ran from his headset to a portable signal jammer strapped to his side, a crude but effective piece of gear Nathan Carter had cobbled together in their makeshift lab. They're here, Jack murmured, his voice barely audible over the wind. Bishop gave a curt nod, his finger tightening slightly on the trigger. Jack glanced at the far corner where Nathan huddled, hidden behind a rusted container. The physicist's face was pale, but his eyes burned with determination as he worked on his tablet, the screen casting an eerie blue light. Nathan had deciphered part of the alien assassins' communication patterns. Their cloaking devices and advanced weapons relied on specific frequencies that the jammer could disrupt if deployed correctly. Tonight, the goal was simple. Lure the assassins into the trap and neutralize them. Jack's earpiece crackled. Nathan's voice came through, barely above a whisper. I've got 2 signatures closing in. Northwest entry. Jack gestured to Bishop, who silently repositioned himself. Jack adjusted his stance, his heart pounding with a mix of adrenaline and grim resolve. The aliens weren't just soldiers, they were predators, engineered for combat and skilled in psychological warfare. But Jack had no intention of being prey. The first shimmer appeared near the warehouse's shattered window. It was subtle, a distortion of light that flickered as the assassin moved. Jack raised his shotgun but didn't fire. Not yet. The second assassin materialized moments later, its cloaking failing as it stepped into the trap. The jammer emitted a low hum, barely perceptible, but enough to disrupt their technology. The alien's angular form solidified, its dark, segmented armor glinting under the dim light. Jack fired, the blast echoing like thunder. The first assassin staggered, its chest plate cracked but not breached. Bishop followed with a burst of precise shots, his rounds punching through the second alien's thigh, sending it to the ground with a guttural screech. The first assassin recovered quickly, leaping toward Jack with inhuman agility. He dodged, the claws narrowly missing his throat, and retaliated with a brutal strike from the shotgun's stock. The alien hissed, its mandible snapping, but Jack was relentless. A second blast from his weapon sent it sprawling. Nathan's voice cut through the calm, more signatures incoming north entrance. At least 3. Damn it, Bishop muttered, repositioning to cover the new threat. Jack didn't need to speak. They both knew the odds were shifting against them. The north entrance exploded inward, shards of metal and wood flying in all directions. 3 assassins stormed in, their weapons blazing with searing energy bolts. Bishop returned fire, his rifle barking in rapid succession. One alien dropped, its weapon clattering to the ground, but the others pressed forward, their movements coordinated and ruthless. Nathan's hands flew across his tablet. I'm boosting the jammer. Hold them off. Jack and Bishop fell into a practiced rhythm. Jack drew the assassins' attention with suppressing fire, forcing them to dodge and reposition, while Bishop capitalized on their openings. Despite their coordination, the aliens were relentless. One bolt grazed Jack's shoulder, the searing pain igniting a fresh surge of adrenaline. He gritted his teeth, refusing to falter. Nathan, how much longer? Almost there. One of the remaining assassins lunged at Bishop, its claws outstretched. Bishop sidestepped, his rifle swinging up in a fluid motion. A single shot shattered the alien's faceplate, and it collapsed in a heap. The final assassin hesitated, its attention snapping to the faint hum of the jammer. It raised a clawed hand, activating a device on its wrist. Jack's stomach dropped as he realized what was happening. EMP, he shouted. The assassin's device emitted a pulse, the hum of the jammer dying instantly. The warehouse plunged into near silence, the air thick with tension. Jack's weapon felt heavier in his hands, the absence of the jammer a stark reminder of how precarious their situation had become. Nathan swore under his breath, but didn't stop working. I can reboot it. Just buy me some time. Jack met Bishop's gaze. There was no need for words. They moved together, charging the remaining assassin with brutal efficiency. Jack's shotgun roared, forcing the alien to retreat, while Bishop flanked it, delivering a devastating blow with his rifle butt. The alien faltered, its balance wavering. Jack seized the moment, closing the distance, and driving his combat knife into a vulnerable joint in its armor. The creature let out a final, guttural screech before collapsing. Nathan's triumphant shout broke the silence. It's back online. The hum of the jammer returned, fainter this time but functional. Jack turned to Bishop, who was already scanning the room for additional threats. Nathan emerged cautiously from his hiding spot, his tablet clutched tightly. Is that all of them? Nathan asked, his voice trembling despite the victory. For now, Bishop replied, his tone grim. Jack wiped the sweat from his brow, his body aching from the fight. He glanced at Nathan. Did we learn anything from this mess? Nathan nodded, though his expression was somber. Their tech is vulnerable, but their tactics are evolving. They knew about the jammer. They're adapting as fast as we are. Jack's jaw tightened. The assassins weren't just an immediate threat. They were a reminder of how unprepared humanity was for what lay beyond Earth. Then we need to adapt faster, Jack said, his voice low but resolute. No more waiting for them to come to us. We take the fight to them. Bishop raised an eyebrow. You're talking about going on the offensive. Jack nodded. We can't win this war by hiding. If they think they can take us out, we show them what it means to cross humanity. Nathan hesitated, then gave a slow nod. I'll need more time, more resources. But if we can disrupt their network, maybe even capture one of their leaders, then we'll do it, Jack said firmly. The warehouse fell silent again, the wind howling through broken windows. For the first time, it wasn't a sound of defeat. It was the prelude to a storm. The alien mothership loomed over Earth, its metallic hull glinting in the void. Inside, dark corridors, pulsed with biomechanical rhythms, and the hum of alien machinery filled the air. Jack Hayes crouched in the shadows, weapon at the ready, while Marcus Bishop moved ahead, sweeping the corridor for threats. Behind them, Nathan Carter worked frantically with a jammer strapped to his chest. "We're almost to the core," Nathan whispered. Jack nodded. The plan: infiltrate the mothership, plant a jammer at the power core, and overload the system. If they succeeded, they could cripple the ship and force the aliens to retreat. If they failed, they wouldn't survive. Bishop held up a hand, signaling to stop. Jack heard it too, the rhythmic clicking of alien assassins closing in. Jack motioned for Nathan to stay back as he and Bishop advanced silently. They reached a junction where the corridor split into 3 paths. The clicking grew louder. "They're trying to funnel us," Bishop muttered. "Let them try," Jack replied. The first assassin appeared, moving with unnatural grace. Jack fired his shotgun, but the alien dodged, its movements a blur. A second assassin emerged, weapon glowing ominously. Bishop fired, forcing it back, but the impact didn't kill it. Nathan crouched behind cover, adjusting the jammer. "I need 30 seconds. "Take your time," Jack muttered, firing again. The hallway erupted into chaos. Jack and Bishop moved in tandem, their years of experience evident in their flawless coordination. Jack's shotgun roared as Bishop's rifle shot targeted weak points in the assassin's armor. The aliens fought back, their tactics swift and clever. One feinted to draw Jack's attention, while another circled behind. Bishop fired, dropping the alien mid-leap. The other fired an energy bolt that narrowly missed Jack. 15 seconds. Nathan shouted. "Make it 10. Bishop barked, reloading. Jack sidestepped a claw swipe and hit the alien with a shotgun blast. Another assassin went down under a barrage from Bishop. "Done," Nathan yelled. The jammer whined, and the remaining assassin's cloaking device flickered before failing. Jack didn't hesitate, firing at the exposed alien and taking it down. With the way clear, Nathan pointed to a massive, organic-looking door. "The core's through there." They moved forward, the door sliding open with a mechanical hiss. The core chamber was vast, with pulsating green walls and a crystalline structure at its center. Jack ordered Bishop to cover the entrance while Nathan set the jammer. The device beeped as Nathan activated the sequence. Suddenly, the alien commander stepped into the room, its dark armor radiating menace. Behind it, a squad of assassins moved in, weapons raised. "You must be Baba Yaga." The commander's voice resonated with an unnatural tone. Jack didn't flinch. "And you must be the coward leading this circus." The commander's eyes glowed with intensity. "Your defiance is pointless. Humanity's time is over." Jack raised his shotgun. "Funny. I was about to say the same about you." The room erupted in violence. Jack and the commander clashed, energy blades and shotgun blasts filling the air. Bishop and Nathan fought off the assassins, their weapons barking in unison. Jack pressed his attack on the commander, forcing it toward the core. A final desperate move, a tackle that drove both Jack and the alien into the crystalline structure, shattered the core. Energy arced violently as the ship trembled. The commander faltered, its shield failing. Jack seized the moment, slamming the butt of his shotgun into its head before delivering a point-blank blast. "Done!" Nathan screamed, activating the jammer. The core exploded in a chain reaction. The ship's hum turned into a deafening wail as energy surged out of control. "Time to go!" Jack shouted, pulling Nathan to his feet. They sprinted through the collapsing corridors, reaching the extraction point just as the mothership's hull split apart, the explosion swallowing the darkness. As their escape pod hurtled toward Earth, Jack glanced at the others. Nathan smiled through labored breaths, while Bishop remained grim. "This isn't over," Jack said. "No," Bishop agreed. "But now they know who they're dealing with." Jack's lips curled into a small, cold smile. "Baba Yaga."